Today we're making banana bread. Now this is the recipe that my sister made, and I have to say we're obsessed with it, and I love making it all the time. It was one of those recipes that we used to always make in lockdown, and now has become a household staple. It's especially nice when it's freshly baked with a scoop of ice cream on the side. Now this is a great recipe to make with overripe bananas, but I have some bananas that aren't ready to be eaten. And so a quick trick that my sister taught is to ripen them in the oven. I'm doubling my recipe because we love banana cake, but I'll share a single loaf recipe. And so what I'm gonna do is bake these with the skin on in the oven for about 15 minutes. And yes, you typically wouldn't need so many bananas, but I'm being extra generous and making 2 loaves. While my bananas roast, I'm going to brown my butter. And basically what that implies is just melt your butter on a stovetop and then let it heat until the color turns into a nice golden brown. And that really does add to the flavor of your recipe. The smell of melted butter, so yummy. You know it's gonna be a good cake. You want to make sure not to over brown your butter. Once you start smelling a beautiful nutty aroma, that's your telltale sign that it's ready. And I'm just going to remove it off the heat and let it cool down. I'm just going to prepare my loaf pans, and all I'm going to do is just spray it with non-stick spray. And I picked this up from Tavola, and it's amazing because it just ensures that everything can be easily removed. Alternatively, you can just grease it with some butter and then coat it or dust it with some flour. And then I will add some parchment paper and I'll line the base. And this just makes it really easy to remove. All right, my bananas are ready. I'm just going to peel them and mash them straight into my mixing bowl. It is quite hot, so just be careful. Ooh. This is what happens when you're impatient. So I'll just place it in. And I'm just gonna mash them as I go because I have so many. Okay, now I'm ready to start putting everything together. So I'm gonna start off by mixing my browned butter and sugar. And I'm gonna be using a paddle attachment just because the consistency of the bananas is quite thick, and I just want to make sure everything mixes and combines very well. Next, I'll add in my eggs. Next, I'll add in my yogurt, vanilla, the bananas. Here I've got my flour, and I'm just going to prepare my dry ingredients. Now typically you want to sift it, but I'm just going to add everything together, and with a whisk I'll just stir it to add some air into the flour. Then the flour. What's nice about this recipe, it really is just add everything in. You don't need to be very technical, and it's just a foolproof recipe. And we're done. So the reason why I'm making 2 loaves is because I'm making one as a pure banana bread, and the second one I'm going to be adding chocolate chips because my kids And I love that element. And so I'm just going to evenly divide the batter. And what I'm going to do is pour half and then add the chocolate chips to the second half and then pour it into the loaf pan. I'm going to add about 1 cup of chocolate chips into this. Give it a nice mix, and I'll just pour this into the second loaf pan. And I'm just going to add extra chocolate chips on top because you can never have enough. And now these are ready to go into the oven, which I've preheated at 180 degrees Celsius, and I'll bake for about 45 to 50 minutes. Look at these banana cakes. They are perfection and they smell incredible. And I have to say, I love eating this cake when it's fresh out of the oven and still warm.